My day started out great. It was a Monday, and I had a meeting with my division manager and the company president to discuss a possible promotion. I had applied for an open position to take over our Grand Rapids, Michigan division. If I got it, the promotion would be to division manager. I had heard that the outside search had not turned up a good candidate. The look for an inside promotion was limited to branch managers and above. Carla, my wife of 12 years, was not aware that I had applied for the position. She knew of the opening and had disparagingly mentioned that she would never move back to that jerk Watertown if it paid $1 million a year. I hoped I could be able to change her mind when she discovered how big a raise came with the move. My name is Jerry Slade. I was 18 years old when I met Carlota Vasquez for the first time. She was almost 18, and we were both seniors at Grand Rapids Central High School. She was trying to graduate and get a college scholarship and was having trouble with her math class. I was an honor student and a volunteer tutor in math and history. My counselor, Mr. Jarvis, asked me to help her shortly before Thanksgiving. We met and talked. I could see she was having some major problems understanding some of the concepts of solid geometry. We agreed that I would help her at her house every Tuesday after school. We ran into a big problem when Carla's boyfriend tried to force me to stop going to help her. Jacob Davis was an all-star athlete in football and wrestling. I was, and still am, the ultimate nerd. I was 6 foot and weighed 135 pounds. I am also very stubborn. I got a couple of beatings from him before Carla told him that if he didn't stop harassing me, they were done. Luckily, Jacob didn't do any damage other than a few bruises. However, I managed to get a large portion of the athletes to also work on him. I just refused to tutor any football player or wrestler until he stopped. He had never asked for tutoring help. I managed to help Carla bring her grade for the year to a solid A-, and she received a scholarship to St. Catherine University. She would be in St. Paul, Minnesota for the next 4 years. I got a scholarship to Columbia University in New York City. If my plans worked out, I would stay there for my MBA. Jacob did not get any scholarship offers because his SAT scores and grade point average precluded any college from offering an athletic scholarship. He ended up going to the local community college and dropping out when he did not make their football team. I did not meet Carla again until our 5-year class reunion. She had thrived in college and graduated cum laude with a degree in accounting. I was a few months away from my master's. Jacob showed up and interrupted our conversation, claiming I was trying to steal his girlfriend again. Before any real trouble started, one of the faculty chaperones escorted Jacob out of the party. Carla and I resumed talking. She told me that she had a job lined up with a small accounting firm in Chicago, and after she got it, she would only come back to Grand Rapids, or as she called it, this shithole town, to visit her parents, or for events like weddings and funerals. She asked what my plans were. When I told her I was a few weeks away from my MBA, her interest seemed to increase. When I told her I was going into the Army for the next 4 years, she seemed to deflate. Fast forward to 6 years. I had been out of the active duty Army for a bit over 2 years. I was still subject to recall until I was 50. Because as a person accepting an officer's commission, I signed up for inactive reserve duty for that long. I had made some connections while I was in the service, and when I was released from active duty, I was hired as an assistant manager of a small plant that was part of a division of Wix Incorporation, a national manufacturing company that made nuts, bolts, screws, etc. The plant I was working in was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was back in Grand Rapids for the wedding of one of my cousins. Carla was at the wedding party, and we reconnected. When I got a chance to talk with her, she told me that a national accounting firm had absorbed the small firm she had worked for, and she had gotten a promotion when she passed her CPA exam. When I told her about my job in Milwaukee, she just about broke my neck. When she calmed down, she told me she had been transferred when she was promoted and was working in Milwaukee too. She gave me her cell phone number and her home address and asked if we could meet sometime for coffee. I probably should have said no, but I had always liked her. We were both unattached, and I thought that we might find some stronger feelings between us. I said sure. and that I would call her sometime in the coming week. She did not ask for, and I did not volunteer my phone number or address. I called her the following Tuesday evening. We agreed to lunch on Friday, and when she told me where she worked, I laughed and said I would walk over and pick her up. Her office was in the same industrial park as the plant I worked at. We had a pleasant lunch, and I decided to find out more. I asked if she was dating anyone, and when she said no, I asked if she would like to go to a play being performed at a local college. She said she would enjoy that. Then she asked the usual things, whether it was dressy or casual, what time, and such. The play was great, and that led to several more dates. After 3 months of almost every weekend together, I asked her if we could be exclusive as dates. She gave me the cutest laugh. "You mean you want to be my boyfriend?" Then she added, "I guess that would be okay, as long as I can be your girlfriend." We both laughed at that. We progressed in our relationship, and I bought a condo near Lake Michigan, and she moved in with me. We had been living together for about 4 months when on Valentine's Day I asked her to marry me. She said yes. Then she asked when. "As soon as you and I can plan it. I wouldn't care if we were married by one of the local judges in his chambers, but it is our day to make a public statement of our love, so if you want something fancier, let me know." Well, she planned, and the gods laughed. My parents were killed when the house they were renting caught fire, and with me being the only child, I had to go back to Grand Rapids to settle the estate. It ended up taking me 7 months to clear everything up. I had to take a leave of absence from my job and temporarily move to GR. While there was a substantial life insurance policy on each of my parents, and the company where Dad worked had a policy also, the rest of the estate other than the bank accounts and safe deposit box was a mess. The cars were leased and had an early termination clause that they were sticking to, so I just paid off the lease and paid the difference to purchase them outright. Luckily, other than a few utility bills and a credit card, there were no bills. I gave one of the cars to the local Catholic charity and kept the other for myself. My parents never owned their houses, always renting. The fire marshal found substandard wiring, a faulty furnace, and no smoke detectors in the house. When I saw the report, I contacted John Summers, a friend from the military who was a lawyer in GR. We brought suit, and when the owner's insurance saw the marshal's report, settled for a sizable amount. I had the entire amount put into a trust fund for my retirement. When I got back to Milwaukee, Carla had everything set up for our wedding. It was going to be a small one, with only 15 or so guests on each side. Carla also had talked to some of the financial planners in her company, and they suggested a prenuptial agreement. I had planned to bring that up, but as she broached it, I agreed. When I asked if she had seen a lawyer to have one drawn up, she put the papers in my hand. Alarm bells started ringing. I said, "I will take this to my lawyer, and if there is nothing wrong, I will sign it." Carla looked kind of angry and also sort of embarrassed. My lawyer called it the most one-sided piece of legal shit he had ever read. The proposed agreement said that any property or other assets would be Carla's if we were to terminate the marriage. He then proposed we counteroffer a similar one-sided in my favor, knowing that they would not agree. He then said that the two lawyers would complete a fair agreement that would protect all premarital assets for each party and would penalize the guilty party if the marriage failed because of abuse or adultery. We did submit a totally unacceptable document. The lawyers ended up doing a fair one. We signed up and got married the week after Thanksgiving. For a wedding present, I bought a house in a suburb closer to both of our workplaces. Then I gave Carla a debit card and told her to go to town decorating it to her taste. I kept the condo and rented it out as a summer rental. Marriage was all that I could ask for, and I truly loved Carla. We were happy for the first 3 years when we got some bad news. Carla had wanted to have a baby, and when she didn't get pregnant after more than a year of trying, we went to a fertility clinic and had all of the tests done. It was discovered that Carla's eggs were not viable. We would never have a natural child. She was distraught and went into a severe depression for about 6 months. I finally had enough and told her to get help or get out. The counselor that she went to got her to an MD and got her on meds that helped a great deal. Finally, after about 2 years, they decided that she could wean off the meds. She was still the love of my life, but there was an underlying sorrow to her that never went away. Because of my extended leave of absence, I missed out on a couple of promotions, but after a couple of years, I started to move up in the corporation. I ended up being made plant manager of a different plant in the area. I stayed there for almost 8 years. Then my married life started to go to hell. Carla asked if I minded if she went out with the people from her office occasionally. I said, "Sure, when are we going?" "This is just for the people in the office," she said. I fired back, "Fine, if you go even once without me and you can forget about coming home. I have put up with a shitty attitude and your self-pity for years, but you are not going to make dates while you are married to me. Is that clear?" She started crying and ran into the bedroom and slammed the door. I slept on the rollaway in the office. The next morning, I heard about the opening in the GR division. I let my superiors know that I wanted it. I hope if I got it that the change of scenery would help Carla. The next night at dinner, Carla was all apologetic and said she was sorry she made me angry. She then said she just wanted to have some fun. That lit the fuse again. "Now you're saying I'm not fun, is that it? Fine. I will see a lawyer in the morning and we can end this pity party we call marriage. I won't stay married if I am not making you happy. Also, don't think you can pull the stunt of keeping me out of the bedroom again. If anyone sleeps on the rollaway, it will be you." Carla looked defeated and started to bawl. She sputtered that that was not what she meant at all, that she loved me, and that she did not want to end our marriage. Then she did something that totally astounded me. She left the dinner table, went into the office, and slammed the door. The sleeping arrangement remained unchanged for about 2 weeks, and we were barely talking to each other. I was at wit's end when my boss told me about the Monday meeting. The Monday meeting was everything I could hope for. I was offered the position and a substantial raise, as well as a block of the corporate stock. The position was mine if I accepted. They told me to think about it and decide by week's end, but to take my wife out to dinner on the company and talk it over with her. Well, I asked for and got the rest of the day off. As it was almost lunch, I called Carla's office and asked to talk to her. I was shocked when they said she had quit 3 weeks ago. I called her cell, and it rang through to voicemail. I was upset, so I used an app that we had installed on all of the managers' phones to track salespeople's company phones. You entered a number, and the phone, if it was on, would act as a GPS destination. I got in my car and used my phone as a navigation system and ended up at a Motel 6 out by the airport. Carla's car was there, so I pulled up to the back of the lot where I could see the car and the doors on that side of the building. After another hour, she opened a door, turned around, and kissed some guy. I couldn't see him other than his slacks and brown hair, and got in her car and drove away. I noted what room and followed her. She seemed to be driving around aimlessly, just killing time. About 10 minutes later, my cell phone rang. I saw it was Carla, so I answered. "I see you tried to call me today, honey. Was there something you needed or anything you wanted to tell me?" "Not really. I wanted to ask you to lunch, but the office lines were busy, and your cell went to voicemail, so I went by myself. I found a new restaurant out by the Motel 6 near the airport I wanted to take you to, but it is too late now. I'll see you when you get home. I have some news to tell you." Then I hung up. I went home, and as it was more than an hour before Carla would normally be home from work, I had a couple of beers. Not enough to get drunk, but enough to take the edge off my mad. Right on time, Carla pulled into the drive. When she opened the kitchen door, she saw me sitting in the kitchen with an empty beer can on the table. She got a guilty look on her face. "What are you doing home and drinking a beer for?" she quietly asked. "When were you going to serve the divorce papers? I found out today that my loving wife failed to tell me she quit her job 3 weeks ago. Then I saw her car outside a motel several miles from where she used to work." What were you doing at Motel 6 in room 109 with that man for more than an hour? By then, I was almost shouting. Carla just collapsed crying and didn't answer. She was sobbing, "No, no, no." Then I heard, "Not yet. 4 more days and it would have been done." It's done now. I got the promotion and was given the day off. So when I was told you quit, I tracked your phone and found you with a man in a motel. I will call the lawyer in the morning. I am going to strictly enforce the prenup except for the house. I gave that to you as a wedding present. My clothes are all in boxes, and I will stay at the condo until I move to GR. I continued. Were you ever going to tell me about him? Was it someone I know? Then I asked the question that scored a bull's eye. Was it Jacob? Did that asshole ruin our marriage? Do you think he is going to make you happy? Carla by then was curled up in a ball on the hallway floor. I grabbed my jacket and left. My lawyer had the papers served and Carla signed them. I took everything but the house like I told her I would. I heard that Jacob moved into the house, but I really did not care. My love for her was destroyed, and I was never vindictive. The new job was a challenge, but I had great mentors, and after tweaking the compensation package for the sales staff, our sales goals for the first year were reached in 9 months. The plant staff was working like mad to keep up, and there were talks and some meetings about starting a second shift. About 18 months after the divorce was final, I got a call from the Milwaukee Police Department. It seems that Jacob was cheating on Carla, and when she confronted him, he shot and killed her. As the house was still in my name, they asked me what to do with it. I gave it to a battered women's shelter and never went back. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.